The lonely stoner seems to free his mind at night. With these words, Kid Cudi didn't just introduce himself to the world. He sparked a revolution in hip-hop that would reshape how an entire generation dealt with mental health. In the darkest corners of teenage bedrooms, in the late-night drives when the world felt too heavy, Kid Cudi's voice became a lifeline. His music didn't just top charts, it saved lives. From Pete Davidson to Travis Scott, from Jaden Smith to countless fans who credit him with their survival, this is the story of how one man's honesty revolutionized hip-hop and gave a voice to the voiceless. Scott Mescuddy's journey begins in Cleveland, Ohio. Born on January 30th, 1984, he was the youngest of 4 children, with 2 older brothers and an older sister. His mother was a school teacher, while his father worked as a house painter and substitute teacher, having previously served as a World War II veteran. Tragedy struck early when his father passed away from cancer. Cudi was just 11 years old, a loss that would profoundly shape his life and music. His teenage years were marked by turbulence. After 2 years at Shaker Heights High School, he transferred to Solon High School, only to be expelled for threatening to punch his principal. After getting his GED, he briefly enrolled in the film program at the University of Toledo, but dropped out after a year. It was in 2003 that Cudi first started rapping, drawing inspiration from alternative hip-hop groups like The Pharcyde and A Tribe Called Quest.
I was an artist. I used to draw all my stuff. I used to draw all my tattoos. It was about being a cartoonist up until I was like 15. And then I just wanted to be a rapper. And then it was all uphill from there.
In 2004, at just 20 years old, Cudi made the bold decision that would change his life forever. With nothing but $500 and a demo tape, he left Cleveland for New York City, moving in with his uncle Khalil Mahdi, an accomplished jazz drummer he had never formally met before. Those first 5 months were a test of perseverance. Jobless and alone in the big city, he had to stretch that $500 as far as it would go. "I didn't have any friends and I didn't know anybody," Cudi recalled in a Complex interview. "So my thing to do then was to go to Times Square and just walk around. I wanted to be a New Yorker so bad." Eventually, he found work at Manhattan clothing stores, American Apparel, Abercrombie and Fitch, and finally Bape, a job that meant everything to him at the time. It was during his time at Bape that fate intervened. While browsing CDs at a Virgin Megastore, Cudi caught the gleam of a Jesus piece in his peripheral vision. He looked up to find none other than Kanye West standing there. In that moment, Cudi seized his opportunity, introducing himself and offering West some of his music, though this initial meeting wouldn't immediately lead to his big break.
All at Virgin Music Store, and I was looking at CDs that I couldn't buy, and, and he was standing right next to me, and I saw him and I was like, oh my God.
As Cudi was finding his footing in New York, he met producer Dot the Genius in Brooklyn in 2006. Dot, then a student at NYU, had a basement studio equipped by his parents. They called it Headbanga Music Studios. The two clicked immediately and began collaborating on music. Finally, Cudi had found both a creative partner and a place to record. But just as things were looking up, with steady employment, a recording space, and growing stability, life threw another curveball. Cudi and his uncle began butting heads, leading to Cudi being forced to move out with no backup plan, contemplating a return to Cleveland. He was saved by Dot and his parents, who offered him a place to stay in their Brooklyn property. Tragically, his uncle passed away later that year in 2006 before they could reconcile. "It was like growing into a man," Cudi later told Complex. "It was a whole other journey. I never apologized for it, and that kills me. That's why I wrote Day and Night. If he wasn't there to let me stay with him those first few months, there would be no Kid Cudi." Working with Dot in their Brooklyn studio, Cudi channeled his grief over his uncle's death into what would become his breakthrough hit. When they first created the instrumental for Day and Night, Cudi immediately wrote the hook, recognizing its potential.
Like, it was really simple. And then I didn't have anything but day and night. I toss and turn, I keep stressing.
The track was first released on MySpace in March 2007, and slowly began gaining traction as music blogs picked it up and radio stations started giving it airplay. The song caught the attention of music producer Emil Haney, who discovered it while browsing MySpace. Blown away by what he heard, Haney called it unlike anything he had ever heard. While on Cudi's page, he noticed something crucial in Cudi's top 8 friends list: Plain Pat, an A&R who was working with Kanye West. As fate would have it, Plain Pat had actually met Cudi back in 2005 at a party in downtown New York, and they'd stayed in touch. Soon, Cudi began recording at Haney's studio in Soho, working on what would become his debut mixtape. As Day and Nite continued gaining momentum, Cudi faced a pivotal decision. He was offered his first official tour in Australia for 3 weeks. This meant leaving his job at the Bape store, his source of stability, with no safety net, no money, and no certainty. Taking perhaps the biggest risk of his career, Cudi chose the tour.
And I had to quit that job. That was like really hurtful. Like to quit the job that I always wanted, but I had the opportunity to tour Australia. Like I was like, man, I have to chase this, man. Like I ain't never been nowhere.
Returning from Australia, Cudi was trying to figure out his next move when he received the call that would change everything. Plain Pat reached out to tell him Kanye West wanted him to come to Hawaii to work on music. Pat had played West some of Cudi's early demos and music from the mixtape they were creating. After hearing it, West's response was immediate: "I need to be a part of this." The Hawaii sessions proved transformative. Cudi wasn't just there to work on his own music. He ended up co-writing Already Home for Jay-Z's Blueprint 3 and contributed to what would become Kanye's culture-shifting album 808s and Heartbreak. His most notable contribution was Welcome to Heartbreak, but his influence extended far beyond his official credits. The album's melancholic atmosphere, vulnerable lyrics, and melodic approach to rap were all elements that aligned perfectly with Cudi's artistic vision. Kanye would later acknowledge this influence, stating, "Me and Cudi are the originators of the style, kinda like what Alexander McQueen is to fashion. Everything else is just Zara and H&M." The sessions involved watching movies like Close Encounters of the Third Kind silently in the background while they worked, creating an otherworldly atmosphere that would influence both artists' future work. Returning to New York with Kanye West's co-sign, Cudi was ready to share his vision with the world. On July 17, 2008, he released his debut mixtape, A Kid Named Cudi. The project was unlike anything in hip-hop at the time, blending genres and defying conventional boundaries. Music critics took notice. Rolling Stone, Vibe, and The Source all declared him an artist to watch. He even landed a coveted spot on XXL's freshman cover in 2009, marking him as one of hip-hop's most promising new voices. The momentum continued building. Cudi signed to Kanye's Good Music label, the name standing for Getting Out Our Dreams, which seemed almost prophetic for a Cleveland kid who dared to chase his passion. On September 15, 2009, he released his debut album, Man on the Moon, The End of Day. The album was a massive success, selling 100,000 copies in its first week and earning him a Grammy nomination for Day and Nite. Just over a year later, on November 9, 2010, Cudi released Man on the Moon 2, The Legend of Mr. Rager. Building on the alternative and psychedelic elements of his debut, the album dove even deeper into themes of depression, loneliness, and isolation. It also tackled his struggles with fame and substance abuse head-on. The album surpassed its predecessor commercially, selling 169,000 copies in its first week. Over the next decade, Cudi would continue pushing boundaries with projects like Indicud, Speed and Bullet to Heaven, Passion, Pain, and Demon Slayin', and Kids See Ghosts. His influence in both music and fashion put him in the same conversation as icons like Kanye West and Pharrell Williams. But despite achieving everything he dreamed of, Cudi was still battling his inner demons.
I think that this cover really shows the maturity, the whole mindset that I'm in right now. I don't really give a fuck about much. I guess it's just to show the rage, the aggressive side of Kid Cudi.
His impact on hip-hop would prove revolutionary. His signature humming, which first appeared on Man on the Moon, became a revolutionary tool in hip-hop expression, showing that emotions could be conveyed without words. The atmospheric production style he pioneered, blending alternative rock with hip-hop and psychedelic elements, created a blueprint for what would become known as vibe rap. Artists like Travis Scott, Don Toliver, and Trippie Redd have built entire careers on the foundation Cudi laid. His willingness to incorporate rock elements and emotional vulnerability into hip-hop helped break down the barriers between genres, paving the way for the genre-fluid approach that dominates modern music. The sad boy movement in rap, which includes artists like XXXTentacion, Lil Uzi Vert, and countless others, can trace its lineage directly back to Cudi's fearless exploration of mental health in his music. Travis Scott, now one of hip-hop's biggest stars, has repeatedly credited Cudi as his primary influence. Kid Cudi is like really one of the main dudes that I looked at and listened to all the time, Scott revealed. He saved my life. He kept me focused.
I looked up to like MIA and Kid Cudi, man. Kid Cudi's like really like one of the main dudes I kind of like looked at and listened to all the time. He saved my life. He saved me from doing like random bad things to myself, kept me like focused.
This influence is clearly heard in Scott's melodic style and psychedelic production choices, showing how Cudi's impact extends beyond just emotional connection to reshaping the very sound of modern hip-hop. Logic has also credited Cudi as a major influence, particularly in giving him the confidence to sing. Cudi was one of the people who showed me like, you don't have to be scared to sing. Like, who gives a darn?
You know what I mean? So, and Cudi was one of the person who showed me like, you don't have to be scared to sing. Like, who gives a f? Like, do what you want to do. But anyway, being on that tour was amazing.
The impact extends to artists like Drake, The Weeknd, and A$AP Rocky, who have all cited Cudi's emotional openness and melodic style as influential to their work. Even Juice WRLD, before his passing, spoke about how Cudi's music helped him through dark times. Kid Cudi saved my life with his music, and he doesn't even know it. In a revealing 2013 interview with Hip Hop Sport, Cudi opened up about his struggles with addiction. I gave up liquor. It's been 5.5 months, he shared. The booze was a new thing for me. I didn't realize I was alcoholic all these years. With any addiction, you have to be ready to make the choice, whether it's cigarettes or anything. You have to just commit and stick with it. His battle with mental health reached a crucial turning point in 2016 when he made the brave decision to check himself into rehab for depression and suicidal urges. In a heartfelt Facebook post, he wrote, "I am not at peace. I haven't been since you've known me. If I didn't come here, I would have done something to myself." This honesty about his struggles only strengthened his connection with fans. Jaden Smith spoke powerfully about Cudi's impact on Hot 97. Cudi would always say things that would just change my life. I thought it was just me and my brother for a while, and then I got older and started going to festivals and realized like, oh man, everybody feels like that. Everybody says that Cudi saved their life.
Cudi would always say things that just would like change my life. And then, you know, I thought it was just me and my brother for a while. And then I got older and started going to festivals. And then I realized like, oh man, everybody feels like that. Like everybody has felt that from Cudi. Everybody says that Cudi saved their life.
Pete Davidson echoed these sentiments on The Breakfast Club with raw honesty. I would have killed myself if I didn't have Kid Cudi. If you're 25 and under, I truly believe that Kid Cudi saved your life. This wasn't hyperbole. It reflected the deep impact Cudi's music had on a generation dealing with mental health struggles.
You saved my life. I would have killed myself if I didn't have Kid Cudi. There's me. If you're 25 and under, I truly believe that Kid Cudi saved your life.
Speaking to Arsenio Hall in 2014, Cudi revealed his mission statement. All I wanted to do was help kids not feel alone and stop kids from committing suicide. I dealt with suicide for the past 5 years. There wasn't a week or a day that didn't go by where I was just like, you know, I want to check out. I know it comes from loneliness. I know it comes from not having self-worth, not loving yourself.
Really, my mission statement since day one, and I'm getting so worked up talking about this, all I wanted to do was help kids not feel alone and stop kids from committing suicide.
In an impassioned moment during the interview, Cudi addressed what hip-hop really needed. I think the braggadocio money cash thing needs to be deaded. If you're going to be an artist, there's a time where you just have to embrace the responsibility and understand that the power of music is something so special. When you reach millions of people, it's like, why not use that for good? Why not tell kids something that they can connect with and use in their life?
I think the braggadocio money, cash, hoes thing needs to be deaded. I feel like that's holding us back as a culture, as black people. That doesn't advance us in any way, shape, or form. We've been doing that same theme for years now. It's been like, what, 4 decades of the same old sorry for my language. And I feel like, you know, if you're gonna be an artist, there's a time where you just have to, you know, embrace the responsibility and understand that the power of music is something so special, and be able to do it on this magnitude where you reach millions of people. It's like, why not use that for good? Why not tell kids something that they can connect with and use in their life? And like,
Today, Kid Cudi stands as a testament to the power of authenticity in art. His journey from a lonely kid in Cleveland to a voice for a generation shows that our darkest moments can become our greatest strength. Through his music, he's shown millions that they're not alone in their struggles, that it's okay to not be okay, and that healing is possible, even if it's not always linear. His legacy isn't just in the charts or the artists he's influenced, it's in the lives he's touched and the conversations he started about mental health and hip-hop. For an entire generation, Kid Cudi isn't just an artist. He's proof that our pain can become our purpose, and that by sharing our truth, we can light the way for others. If you connected with Kid Cudi's story of perseverance and authenticity, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the artists who changed music forever. Until next time.